Alright guys, time to grab here back again today. I hope you're enjoying your day so far, and today we're going to discuss the potential of OpTic Gaming, Chicago OpTic, whatever it potentially is going to be. These last couple of weeks have been pretty crazy, quite frankly, and it seems to be pretty much confirmed right now that this did happen indeed, and Hector Rodriguez bought out OpTic Gaming Los Angeles from the Immortal groups with the intention probably of taking that branding back to his home team. It was initially reported that he was looking to divest the OGLA spot. Some, well, various reports and rumours came out as to actually what may have happened as a result of that we're going to look back on today, but as it seems over the last couple of days that is indeed what did happen, as this article did initially describe, divesting this spot to Nadeshot and the Los Angeles Thieves quite potentially, and then using the OpTic Gaming branding for his own purposes. But will the CDL give this the A-OK? That's the big question mark right now. The CDL can effectively do what they want. Everything is pending league approval, I imagine. Maybe some things have been approved so far and some things haven't. Announcements, I imagine, will be coming relatively soon. But would the CDL stop Hector rebranding the Chicago Huntsmen to OpTic Gaming? That is certainly a question on many people's lips right now. Very intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for doing that, and for 35,000 subscribers if we did hit it already as of when this video is going live. So Kevin Hitt said a couple of days ago some owners have been left in the dark regarding entry. So in relationship to the reported sale, the Esports Observer has learned that negotiations for this particular deal, this is between Nadeshot and Hector, were done privately with no information or discussion happening between the league and its owners. So, in some other leagues, the actual owners get the opportunity to approve this kind of stuff if they want to allow other people into the league. And it's certainly possible that the CDL might be looking at some of these other teams in the league, and they might be somewhat frustrated with the way that Hector can just like come in here, build the biggest brand in the Huntsman, and then kind of just swap it out and bring OpTic Gaming back over to his own domain. So I suppose there are some issues with this in theory, but in practice, this seems to make sense for a long-term move, right? Like, yes, Chicago Huntsman is your biggest brand, but it's only been there for a season, and at the end of the day, if you kind of just have to write off one season of the CDL with the intention, of course, of this league being a thing for 20, 30, 50, 100, whatever years, right? Like, that's the intention of Activision Blizzard, to have this as like a long-term esport. Joanna Fairies was talking about how if someone like comes out of school, their option should be like, do I want to be an NBA player? Do I want to be an NFL player? Or do I want to be a CDL player, right? Like, that's kind of the option and the big thinking that they have on the table, which is pretty cool. But what that means is this league is, of course, going to be a very much a long-term venture in theory, and that's where the ownership groups are coming from. So if you kind of have to write off 1 year and say, okay, the Huntsman was like a mistake because everything kind of went wrong with the OpTic Gaming acquisition branding and all this type of stuff, and Hector, of course, like, he's the CEO, founder of OpTic Gaming, that's his baby in terms of it being a brand, and well, all the situation that went down over 2017 and 2018 meant that he lost that and trying to reacquire it, I guess, at any cost. And at the end of the day, even though the OpTic Gaming brand has fallen somewhat short of where it was, it had like 3.4 million followers on Twitter or something, now it's down to 3.1 million. The YouTube account doesn't obviously nowhere near as well as it used to, and that was the question we had about Immortals, right? Like, how much money did they lose on this deal? Was it a good investment? Yes, they did get the LCS spots, maybe that's kind of what they were looking for more generally, but yeah, didn't necessarily work out to the best for the Call of Duty and the OpTic Gaming stuff, and it's pretty clear, and it's been pretty clear for a while, that, the fans are going to follow Hector and Scump rather than following the name, right? Because, what value is there to a name if there is no substance behind it? And that's probably the same thing, quite frankly, if the Huntsman was to stay, another organization was going to buy them out, as we discussed. It's, probably not something that anyone actually wants to do nowadays. So, in theory and practice are slightly different things. And I think if the league really does want to embrace the storylines and build itself up to where it could potentially be, allowing Hector to have the OpTic Gaming branding back in the CDL certainly makes the most sense, in my opinion. And, building storylines for the upcoming season and building that branding, because I'm sure, like, OpTic Gaming within a season or so will get back to the kind of trajectory they were on before, and the fans will come back over. It's kind of a flip-flop. It might be kind of awkward, I suppose, from the CDL's perspective to approve, but at the end of the day, it's probably the best thing to do. So this video came up from Jake Lucky on the 19th of October, talking about a few things and kind of maybe the story was changing. These are, bottom three have basically turned out not to be true. Does that mean, though, that the top one on CDL denying HECZ's attempted Huntsman rebrand to OpTic is also not true? It's very possible that this is still on the table right now, and I have no confirmations or anything behind the scenes that I've heard to imply this one way or the other, so it's really uncertain. As I said at the time, I cannot see any world where Hex would ever leave Scump Formal & Co, and I think from a contract side, it would be an absolute nightmare if they were to somehow move to OpTic Gaming Los Angeles and then, like, bring all the players over. I don't even know how that would potentially work. The situation as it has happened, it makes a lot more sense to me, right? Just selling on the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles spots, keeping the branding. But if the CDL don't allow him to rebrand the Huntsman to OpTic Gaming Chicago, what would you guys prefer, by the way? OpTic Gaming Chicago, kind of like how OpTic Gaming Los Angeles was, or the Chicago OpTic or something like that? What do you think works better? What do you think is nicer? Is that something which HECZ wants to do? The alternative is, of course, that OpTic just becomes like a content brand, and under the NRG umbrella, OpTic Gaming is now like a vertical, I suppose, and that's where they do a lot of content and stuff like that. But I mean, how do you kind of align that, right? Because you've got guys like a Maniac and stuff who are part of the Huntsmen right now, who were part of the old OpTic Gaming family, and of course all the players are part of the Huntsmen. So do you just keep that YouTube channel going? Do you have like OpTic as their content side? It's just kind of awkward, right? I'm sure that Hector would much prefer if he could just combine the two together. And I mean, the Huntsman's an interesting branding. I think like its logo and stuff got a fair bit of stick at the start of the year. Basically looks like the West Ham logo, if you guys are aware of that one. It's certainly grown on a fair few people, I believe, but it's a pretty young brand. It's only been around about a year or so at this point. And if it was to disappear, what do you guys think about the potential of that, right? Because you've got Atlanta FaZe, that's effectively the FaZe Clan branding elsewhere. You've got OpTic Gaming Los Angeles, that's a brand. That's now going to be LA Thieves. If OpTic Gaming, just the logo goes to the Chicago OpTic or whatever, this logo just disappears forever. I mean, it'd be a crazy thing to happen, quite frankly, in the first year of a franchise league. And maybe that's why the CDL are being skeptical on this issue. But at the same time, for the long term, for the practical implications, it's probably the best thing to do. And it would surprise me, quite frankly, if Hector had jumped into these negotiations without the knowledge that he could potentially do this. Yeah, at the very least, potentially, right? If you're allowing OpTic Gaming Los Angeles to rebrand to the Thieves, why would you not allow the Huntsmen to rebrand as well? Kind of seems a bit of a double standard there. And as Easy Max said a while ago, these are the Twitter followers for the teams at the time. So you can see the Huntsmen at this time are on 180,000. No one else close, right? So in the first year, they'd absolutely blown up. I mean, OpTic down here at like minus 180,000 since the start of the season. But that's, of course, pretty difficult to calculate exactly how many followers they would have had if they started from zero, as some of these organizations did. And then you get this as well, right? This is the Huntsman's YouTube channel, 123,000 subscribers. I mean, these videos always bang. They're always a good time watching these. It's good fun. Would these videos just move to like OpTic Gaming if it was a content brand under NRG, and then Huntsman stays the stays the CDL brand? It's kind of awkward. I don't think Hector wants to do that. I don't think the NRG guys want to do that. At the same time, though, Huntsman is a pretty impressive brand that has been built over the last season. Pretty crazy that you would just kind of abandon it and well, leave it in the junk pile. But what else can you really do, right? And I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, because I've heard a number of people saying that they actually really like the Huntsman brand. They would love this to kind of stay as their team, and OpTic to kind of be a content thing more generally. But at the same time, I think a lot of people who have followed Call of Duty for a while would probably want OpTic Gaming to be back. So it's pretty difficult, right, to choose between the two. And but I imagine, frankly, Hector's heart is set on trying to get OpTic Gaming as a brand back, given that was his baby for pretty much over a decade. Their Twitter account as well now has 187,000 followers. So absolutely, yeah, blowing up even throughout the off-season, which is pretty impressive stuff. And just to finish the video on a slightly different note, this came out from Breaking Point. Crimsix is the third and final Triple World Champion alongside Clayster and Karma. Which of Crim's CoD Champs performances was his most significant? Some incredibly impressive KDs. Like back in the Ghost days, 1.36 KD, this guy was out of control. Similar to really Clayster in Advanced Warfare or whatever, when he had like a 1.3 and got the job done. In more recent years, of course, he hasn't exactly played a role necessarily where he's required to do the main slang like he was back in the day. One in Infinite Warfare that tweets out bridgelocator.com after coming top 24 in World War II. But yeah, thankfully has bounced back from that one in the last couple of seasons, including winning the World Championship MVP, or at least the Championship Weekend MVP in the Modern Warfare season, even though he didn't exactly have the greatest KD over the whole of the tournament. But can you blame him, given the players that were on his team? But I'm very intrigued to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Do you believe the CDL will let Hector rebrand Chicago to OpTic Gaming Chicago, Chicago OpTic, something like that? Do you even want it to rebrand? And is it going to be a good thing for the CDL long term? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well and help grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
One shot. Oh, yo. Damn, I didn't know where. Nasty. Damn, this kid's... I can't kill him! Do we... Good. Fucking went off, bro. Finally, bro. Like, just shit on him. We'll take it. I'm done.
Yo, I had to unmute the stream real quick, Squad and Bryce. Yo, you peeped that shit. Fucking went on a 15 kill streak at the end.